Hi, good morning. Oh man, more bedhead. I took a shower before bed last night and went to sleep on wet hair. I just made coffee. This is the leftover of the pour over. The rest is ready to go for class in my little to-go mug. Oh yeah, first sip, baby. So this is A Course in Miracles reflection for lesson 22 because today is Thursday the 23rd. So good. So good. So I'm still like waking up in my bedroom here. I'm trying to be quiet for my housemate. And I'm opening the book. Here. Oh, look at my bookmark. I make bookmarks. I love to make bookmarks. And this was a process of like drawing, like shaving crayons down on a piece of paper, like shaving them with like pencil sharpener, I guess. And then putting it in a laminator. And then it melted all the colors together. And then I used my paper cutter to chop that up into this size to be the backs of my bookmarks. But anyway, there's like 3 different kinds of bookmarks in here. There's this one. There's like a little felt decorative whatever that I had lying around. And then this one says this. It's like inspired by a poem by Octavio Paz. Octavio Paz. All things rest in the shade of their names. It just reminds me that like, saying this. I always put the words to like the words I'm still reading. I think I'm on this side. That phrase reminds me that like, like when you look at something, it's so much more than the mouth sounds we've given it. It existed without mouth sounds before we gave it mouth sounds, for our own meaning. It just reminds me that like this is like something more than just what we call it, a bookmark. It's its own thing, whatever it is. Trying to see things purely, So this one I made for this book actually. This phrase comes from the introduction. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. I love that. And then on the other side, I dried some rose petals from a rose that was given to me on Matt and I's dating anniversary last year when we went out to a restaurant. And I think for our 11 years? Question mark? Is that right? What year is this? Yeah, because this year will be 12. And so last March, I think we went out to eat and I got a rose. So I had dried those petals and then I laminated those and cut them up because I knew I wanted to use them for a bookmark. And I love a good two-tone, pink and red. Doesn't it give you different feelings when you use a two-tone that doesn't normally go together? So anyway, that's that. Oh God, which side did I think I'm probably here. Don't let me show you my bookmarks. I lose my place. Okay. So, lesson 22. What I see is a form of vengeance. I'm going to skip down here, and this is the reason why I wanted you to see the page, because I wanted you to read this. I see only the perishable. I see nothing that will last. What I see is not real. What I see is a form of vengeance. And then ask yourself, is this the world I really want to see? Yeah, that was, when I first read what I see as a form of vengeance at the top, I'm like, ooh, what am I supposed to learn with this lesson? And then, of course, I read further, and then it kind of makes sense. You know what's funny, though? Last night, I was reading from the text part of the book. Shoot, I want to find that, because it put it in context so well. I should have made a note of that. A bunch of horsies. Might be worth it. And it might not. Oh, here it is. Of this you can be wholly certain. WHOLLR. Oh, anyway, wholly, like as a whole, certain. God is as incapable of creating the perishable as the ego is of making the eternal. Let me read that again for myself. God is as incapable of creating the perishable as the ego is of making the eternal. And I love that because it went along with this lesson, weirdly enough. There's no correspondence between the text and the lesson. It's not like it tells you to read pages 1 through 5, and that corresponds with lesson 2 or something. It doesn't do that. At first I wanted it to, and then it's like, let it go, just read, and the connections will come, and they have. And so that perishable is why it stuck out to me. And so it's like the ego, we as humans can't really make anything eternal, not even with our minds. God cannot make anything perishable because God is eternal. And everything of God is eternal. And so it's like so beautiful. Like it's like, why would I want anything that comes from me when I can have what God provides? Isn't this weird? Like, I never connected with religious texts, and this isn't considered one. This is like putting things in a new light. Like it's like the reteaching of Jesus's teachings. It's like, this is what I really meant by this, people. It's kind of like the tone. Like they got it somewhat right, but this is what I really intended with this, and puts it into like modern day understanding to some extent. So maybe that's why I'm connecting with it now, because I've always believed there's something beyond me. Like I used to think, well, maybe there isn't, and I know. Like maybe I'm an atheist, and then I'm like, no, I still don't really know. Like to be an atheist means there's no God. Well, no, I don't know that. How egotistical, huh? Sorry if you're an atheist. That's just how I feel. Like for me personally, I felt egotistical thinking I know. And then there's a humility that came with I don't know. And I like feeling humble. It's like when you're out camping underneath the stars and you feel so small. I love feeling small. Like when you can see part of the Milky Way and you're like, whoa, I'm just one little speck in the specks at the very tail, one of the tails of the Milky Way. It's like, what? And then to think we have trillions of cells in our bodies. I don't know why that's so trippy in relation to the Milky Way, but like the micro is the macro is the micro. I was just saying that in my morning voice journal. Whoa, everything's related today. So this is, I see only the perishable. I see nothing that will last. What I see is not real. What I see is a form of vengeance. And then is this the world I really want to see? No, I want to see beyond what I can see with my ego mind. And ego just means like being human. It's not like being egotistical, like to the extreme. It just means we all have an ego. We're all of the ego mind. We are human. We're not God, but we are God. So it gives me like to take me from what I see as a form of vengeance, and I'm like, what? I'm not vengeful. And then to go into what it's really saying is like, yeah, everything that I see with my human mind is a form of vengeance because it's about limitation. It's about seeing myself as less than God sees me. Like, oh yeah, this is gonna die away. Yeah, I see nothing that will last. What I see is not real. Meaning, like, we just see our physical reality. It's not really real. It's not real. It's all an illusion. And so it's like, oh, what I see is a form of vengeance against God's creation. And I'm like, no, I want something greater than that. And so it doesn't make me have a distaste for the world I see. In fact, I still love the stuff humans create, with their ingenuity. I mean, I just love the humanness of humanity despite its dysfunctions. And there's still a love of being in a body here on earth that I'm grateful for it. And yet I can still say, man, what I see is a form of vengeance, and it helps me orient beyond that. Like, yes, there's something greater, and I can anchor into that at any time, any little point in time. I'm gonna turn on the AC for a sec. I'm getting a major hot flash, and it's one of those here that will not go away unless I do this. I mean, it will eventually, but probably have to get in the shower for it. Yeah, hot flashes are intense. Hot flashes are intense here. So, yeah, that's the lesson for today. It just helps me continually, which I've been striving to do, especially through these lessons, like think beyond the human ego, think beyond the human ego. Not think, but feel beyond, like orient beyond the human ego. To see, like, to make that my norm, my habit. Because this practice is all about developing a habit and a new way of seeing things at its most fundamental level. That's what it's doing. So it's like I want to keep going beyond. Sorry, I was just getting something. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm done. I think I need to stretch. What time is it? What time? It's 5:44. The sun's coming up. I'm going to stretch and might have time for a little beach walk, actually. I'd still make it to class on time. Somehow I used to do that back in the day. I used to get up at like friggin', 4 a.m. and study for like an hour and a half, and then with my coffee and head to the beach and still get back and shower before anybody else and get to class early. What? How? I was in student mode. So now I'm in a different mode, but still want to get there early to relearn anatomy and physiology and the structures of the cell. Because I know I'm going to trip out today about how the micro is in the macro and the macro is in the micro. Like, we're going to learn about all the cell parts. Ribosomes, ATP, the retina, oh my god, I forgot all the parts of the cell. This is gonna be fun. I'll be like, oh yeah. The words escape me. The protein factory of the cell, and it folds all the proteins, and the nucleus. Oh man, it's amazing what I've forgotten so far in these 2 years since I went through anatomy. I feel like I remember what's important to my client work, and I think it would come back to me in the moment of needing to draw upon it, but maybe not. Hey, I remember the muscles. I remember the muscles, I think. Okay, well, that's the reflection for today. I hope you have a great Thursday. And if you're following along with me, I know nobody's watching these yet, but if you're following along, even at some future point, maybe 10 years from now, if this is still up on YouTube, leave a comment. What did this lesson mean to you? I love hearing other people's perspectives, because then I'm like, oh yeah, I get it. You know,